And there was a very good reason for it, which was my fault. Well, here to discuss the cause and the social consequences of the house price gap is Dr. Peter Saunders, who's a reader in urban studies at Sussex University. Peter, you were looking at our report there. Why is there the disproportion in prices between the north and the southeast?
Well, I suppose like any market, the housing market, prices in the housing market are going to reflect supply and demand in different parts of the country. Now, if you look at the effective demand for housing in those different areas, clearly that's a reflection of how the local economy is doing in those areas. In some of the more depressed regions of the country, people are on short time, or there's very little overtime. Couples may well find it difficult for both husband and wife to find work, which is actually important in terms of being able to get into the housing market nowadays. And there's very few people moving into those parts of the country. Now, you compare that with London and the southeast. Obviously, the local economy in large parts of the southeast is still booming. You've got two-earner households. There's money around. There's a larger number of professional and managerial workers. As we saw in the Bristol report, their companies are moving into these areas, and property prices are going to be buoyant.
Has it? I mean, is it traditionally? Has it ever been thus, or is this a phenomenon of the 70s and 80s?
Well, there's always been the disparity in house prices, but I think it's getting more marked in the course of the current recession.
But it would say a lot, and it would be quite frightening, wouldn't it? Because it seems in that report to underline the social differences between the north and the south. It seems, I know it's chicken and egg, but that's what it looks like, isn't it?
Yes, indeed. I mean, if you're a homeowner in London or the home counties, we saw in Bristol the house prices there rising by 10%. In parts of the southeast they've risen by 15% in the last 12 months. And it's a licence to make money. If you're a homeowner in, for example, the research that we're doing at Sussex at the moment, we've gone to Coventry. Now, Coventry used to be a buoyant, booming area until a few years ago. Homeowners there now are really stuck with the asset that they've got because the house prices are stagnant or even perhaps falling. So there's one group of people who are making money just by sitting in a house, and there's other groups who are basically stuck. Yeah,
and that, of course, means that what we have traditionally been taught to believe was the great single investment of our lives, for some people in some parts of this country is not the case now. Yes, so disinvestment.
Yes, I think that's right, although I wouldn't want to overstate that. For a large number of people, home ownership is still a very substantial asset, and I think for large numbers of people it's actually possible to accumulate money over time far greater than anybody could possibly save out of earnings. Yeah,
from your investigations and your studies, just for example in the Coventry area, are there any indications that this situation is likely to improve, or is it going to get worse?
Well, the disparity, it's very difficult to look into the future. The disparity of house prices across the country will almost certainly remain as great as it is, and possibly get even worse, unless something's done to improve the economies of these declining regions.
What would you suggest?
Well, there's any number of things. Yes, there's any number of things that one could suggest. I mean, one point I would make is that up until the late 70s, governments were committed to a regional aid policy, which wasn't always terribly effective, but at least there was an attempt to try to push money and push jobs towards those areas. Now, what's happened in the last 5 or 6 years is that the government has said that the workers should move to the jobs rather than the jobs moving to the workers, and regional aid really has dried up to those areas.
Peter, thank you very much indeed.
Okay, thank you.
Peter Saunders, thank you.
Thank you.